We're flying over the highest peaks of the Andes into the endless Amazon region. There, in the middle of the tropical rainforest, lives a shaman. From the jungle city of Iquitos, we travel by boat for 3 hours up a tributary of the Amazon. I'm traveling with my camera and a group from Austria. I have no idea what awaits us. The others have never been here before either. I guess we'll see. After a 2-hour march, we reach the shaman's camp. And there he is, Don Agustin Rivas Vasquez. Smoke is an important tool for the work of a shaman. He uses it to attract spirits from the 4 corners of the earth. Helpers summoned to stand by us during the next 14 days. Only a few of us are physically ill. Most people in the group want to improve their psychic condition. The search for our true selves begins with a laxative, which Don Agustin obtained in the primeval forest. Purgation and self-discovery go together. Before something new can be created, the old first has to be driven out. It's best to drink this horrible-tasting concoction as quickly as possible, and then massage your stomach to avoid vomiting immediately. Now, we're supposed to hop around so the liquid can spread out evenly in our bodies. What does someone suffering from a serious physical illness feel at this point? Someone like Maria. It's too late to consider the efficacy of shamanic methods. Skepticism isn't an option. If one doesn't believe in them, one can just as well go home. And that happens sometimes, when fear, doubt, and mistrust win the upper hand. Slowly, our stomachs begin to rumble. And we quickly search for a place to relieve ourselves. A row of toilets has already been set up for this purpose. It's shocking to experience what kind of stench civilized people can produce. My expectations are extremely high, though I don't know exactly what I'm looking for. I realize that I feel worse by the minute. Maria is suffering from cancer of the liver. The doctors say she only has a chance of survival if she's operated on immediately. That means her own liver will be cut out and replaced with that of a dead person. This is a risk she doesn't want to take.
Ja, von der Klinik aus habe ich ja schon 2 Chemotherapien gemacht.
I went through 2 chemotherapies.
Das aber nicht, also die erste habe ich überhaupt nicht
The first lasted 3 months. It was agonizing and it didn't help.
Die zweite ist noch schlimmer
The second was even worse. Then I looked for something different. My body was telling me this isn't right.
Ich muss was anderes probieren.
The next ritual awaits us the following day. Because we attach so much significance to nakedness, our bodies seem more important to us than our minds. Don Agustin wants to reverse this condition. We should learn to abandon our feelings of shame and inferiority. Spiritual healing can only take place when the body is subordinated to the mind. One doesn't feel so naked when covered by mud. And beside that, it's supposed to color the skin blue for weeks. This mud bath frees us from many feelings of shame. Each of us is naked and can be seen observing the others who are also naked. Everyone is unadorned and unprotected. We quickly lose our inhibitions. A good opportunity to capture the moment. The mud has to dry on the skin before it begins to flake off. We get used to being naked and behave naturally, though we've only known each other for several days. But for Maria, it's about more. It's a matter of life and death.
When I discovered I had cancer, I fell into a deep, dark hole. I didn't know how to handle it. What could I do? Was I going to die? Would I survive? What had gone wrong in my life, and why? If I'm going to die, then I'll die, so be it. And if I'm supposed to fulfill another purpose in this life, then I'll do that too. I take it as it comes.
Don Agustin isn't even daunted by cases of cancer. The mud worked. Now we're blueskins. Our new skin connects us and distinguishes us as a group. Can Maria cure her liver cancer with these methods?
Don Agustin always told me, you will be healthy. You will be healthy. You will be healthy.
The next medicine is called Vita Caspi.
May the spirits of the south join us and guide us on our way. All spirits of the south, come and protect us, so you can fly.
Para volar. Para volar. Nuestros espíritus estarán volando.
When the sun has set, our minds will fly to our home planet.
Planetas.
We resume our original positions.
A flight to my home planet? Is that a metaphor for self-discovery? Don Agustin summons the protective spirits, who are supposed to give me the courage to leave my body. Maria says she takes it as it comes, an attitude which will prove helpful. This new concoction, meant to make us fly, tastes even worse than the laxative. Whoever leaves their body, says Don Agustin, will return completely cleansed.
If you drink it too quickly, you'll die. Drink very slowly.
You want more?
Finally, after we were getting one medicinal drink after the other, I thought, what am I doing to myself? Why am I here? In the beginning, it was really awful.
The medicinal drink takes effect quickly. We actually feel best in water, where we have a sense of weightlessness. Although my fear of physical dissolution keeps my mind captive in my body, The Vita Caspi has the effect of resetting my inner system. I can gradually feel the spiritual cleansing which Don Agustin has initiated in us. Everything which has happened up to this point has merely been a preparation for what is now to come. Don Agustin works with a medicine known as ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is derived principally from a type of parasitic liana whose strength depends largely on the tree on which it grows. One finds this plant on various trees in the tropical rainforest.
Y así solo es más fuerte.
If it grows freely, like that, then it is especially potent.
Esto vas a tomar un grupo de médicos.
It will be taken by a group of physicians
Que van a venir después que terminan ustedes.
which is coming after you.
Don Agustin says plants also have a soul, like every other being in the universe. The soul of the plant is considerably more important and stronger than its biochemical properties. That's why we should communicate with the plant, honor it, and invite it to reveal itself to us. As with any other being, the plant's abilities have to be aroused through love and attention. The ayahuasca plant has very special abilities. It is the wisest in the Amazon jungle, the plant with the highest degree of consciousness, says the shaman. He uses it to heal. With the help of the ayahuasca's spirit, patients can achieve insights and changes which they could not attain without the plant. Under the influence of ayahuasca, Don Agustin recognizes the illnesses caused by blockades in the body and extracts them by sucking with his mouth, or seizes them with his hands and surrenders them to the elements. We want to try and grow the plant's young shoots in Europe. Everyone takes a few along.
Das sind dann zwei. Also zuerst jetzt in Zeitungspapier oder was oder feucht einwickeln.
Wrap the damp roots in newspaper until they develop roots. Then plant them in the ground.
Don Agustin demonstrates how he sucks the cancer directly from Maria's liver.
Se siente en la boca como arena.
I can taste cancer like sand in my mouth
Se siente entonces. Se escupe, ¿no?
and simply spit it out.
Y estando en un estado de ayahuasca,
When I'm in the state of ayahuasca, the healing process is much more positive.
las cosas son más positivas. Cualquier enfermedad
Whatever kind of illness it might be,
puede curarse.
one can heal it on ayahuasca.
Que hay brujos y el yachay se les cae
Sometimes what I'm sucking out here
una flema cristalina
feels like long, transparent slime,
y luego lo jalan de nuevo.
which often I'm not able to spit out again. I have to suck it up and swallow it.
We can only experience ayahuasca and get connected with the spirit of the plant if we drink it in complete darkness in the middle of the jungle. We all consent to this procedure. For days, Don Agustin has cooked off ayahuasca extract from several plants and filled the juice into bottles. This is how he communicates with the ayahuasca, how he woos and caresses it.
Para que la tierra se cure de todos sus males, para que todos los enfermos
May everyone be healed with
se
ayahuasca.
curen, para que nuestros pensamientos lleguen
The earth itself and all of us.
a todos los rincones de la tierra,
May everything evil keep at a distance,
curando todo lo malo que hay.
and may only positive thoughts reach us.
Salud.
Ayahuasca, pure, horrible-tasting medicine, which we're hardly able to swallow. Even the master himself is shaken by the extract, though he should be used to it. All his unusual healing successes have been achieved with ayahuasca.
Unerträgliche seelische Schmerzen.
On ayahuasca, my soul was in so much torment that I actually couldn't breathe anymore.
Seelische Schmerzen. So meinen innerlichen Hass, was ich gehabt habe, und
My inner hate, the
Vater-Mutter-Probleme etc., die Probleme, was man halt so mitschleppt.
problems with my father and mother,
Die ganzen Schmerzen intensiv fühlen, weil sonst verdrängt man sie ja immer, oder?
the problems you carry inside you are suddenly there,
Und auf einmal sind sie da, ganz blank.
naked.
Und
It's
so intensiv.
very intense when you feel the pain which the body expresses by sweating and
Ein
expunging.
innerlicher Schmerz ist, was auch beim Körper noch ausgedrückt hat, indem dass man schwitzt, bricht.
When the body is out of control and you're no longer in command of it or your soul.
Nicht mehr Herr seines Körpers und seiner Seele eigentlich ist.
Nevertheless, this was her turning point.
Also wie ich von Peru nach Hause gekommen bin,
When I returned from
bin ich
Peru,
total stark gewesen. Ich habe mich gefühlt wie ein Baum,
I felt exceedingly strong,
stark,
as stable as a tree,
voll kraftvoll,
full of power and
Power.
energy.
So kräftig war ich noch nie.
I've never been so strong in my life.
Nach einem Jahr bin ich wieder
A year later, I returned to the clinic
zur stationären Aufnahme für
for an
meine
examination.
Untersuchungen.
After they checked me for a week, the doctor sat down on my bed
Da habe ich halt die ganzen Untersuchungen gemacht und nach einer Woche hat sich der Arzt auf mein
And told
Bett
me
gesetzt
I no longer had
und hat
cancer.
gesagt, ich habe keinen Krebs mehr. Ich habe zwar noch
I
Leberzirrhose,
still
aber
had
keinen
cirrhosis
Krebs
of the
mehr.
liver, but not
Und das
cancer.
war gerade Ostern.
It was Easter,
Und er hat gesagt, ich soll
and
meine
he said I
Auferstehung
should
feiern.
celebrate my resurrection.
Ever since this experience, I've been able to find an increasing number of healers who've been able to help their patients celebrate their resurrection. There are a great many in Baguio, in the northern part of the Philippines. I ask a taxi driver about a healer, and he tells me straight off. Outside Baguio, there is a clinic in which patients were operated on by the dozens without scalpels. Doctors operated with their bare hands in a purely spiritual way. In 1969, an earthquake, followed by the death of the head doctor, or more accurately, head healer, Anthony Powell, led to the clinic's closure. Joseph, who used to work for the clinic, can still recount Anthony's revolutionary healing successes before the earthquake. You consider him the greatest healer here?
He's the greatest because that's the time when I've seen lots of people, huge, plenty. All over the five-star hotel are booked just to see Tony. It's fully booked, huh? The five-star hotel.
Yeah.
I asked them, "You're from oh, we're from Canada, we're from Australia, we're from all over the, all over the world, from Alaska."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
What kind of cases came here?
most cases who came here are those who cannot see well, back pain, migraine, see, and cancer.
He was able to cure cancer?
Because if he cannot cure the people, how come the more people are coming? See? If you cannot cure somebody, nobody will come.
Despite Anthony Powell's death, an increasing number of patients began coming to Baguio. His shamanic method, operations without scalpels, spread throughout the Philippines. In the meantime, it is widely practiced here. For example, by Lawrence Cacteng. He asks straight off what problem made me consult him. I tell him of a fractured vertebra which had to be operated on and which I still can't put under strain. His waiting room is full of natives, but often patients who have traveled a long way can also be found here. I let an Australian woman go in before me, as I'm still a bit queasy. I gladly let the Filipino woman go in before me as well.
Holy Spirit, we need thee.
Now, it's my turn. The operation takes place without narcosis. Up to now, I haven't heard any screams. People say there is a little bleeding during the procedure.
Because you are the one that heals people. We are only an instrument. We ask all of this in your name, O Lord. Amen.
Geht's dir, Clemens?
How are you doing?
Gut.
Good.
Hat's wehgetan?
Did it hurt?
Nein.
No? To me, it feels like a subtle massage. For the healer, it's pure energy work. What we see here is the depiction of what he's doing for me in his consciousness or mind. He concentrates on freeing me from damaged cells, ballast, and blockades. His hands only symbolize the healing he's carrying out for me on a mental level. Most of the reality is not in what we're seeing here, but in the place where the spiritual healing is carried out, namely in his consciousness, which he uses to treat my body. In this same manner, he's healed many patients suffering from very serious illnesses. In the end, we can only heal ourselves, but often we need someone to stimulate our inner powers. We have forgotten that we're primarily spiritual and not physical beings. That's why it's helpful if someone shows our consciousness through a physical action what it can achieve as soon as it becomes independent from the physical world. Brain researchers have discovered that our sense organs, the eye, for example, and the things they perceive and transport to the brain constitute less than 10% of our total perception. More than 90% of our perception is determined by the perceptual glasses through which we look at the world, including our prejudices, attitudes, and habits. The most important characteristic of our brain is its ability to create its own reality at any given moment. To accomplish this, it takes more than 90% of the necessary information from its own reservoir. Therefore, What each individual generally believes to be true is only a unique construct of his own mind. That's the way our brain is constructed, and that's the way it works. Shamans, spiritual healers, and surgeons without scalpels apparently utilize this functional mode of the brain. Joseph introduces us to Anthony Powell's daughter. She too is a healer and even performs bloody operations without a scalpel.
Through whom did you learn the healing process?
My father is the first Filipino healer who could open the body. So,
before it didn't happen?
No, he was the first.
He was a farmer who believed devoutly in Christ and began working as a shaman very early on.
First, he used knife, but medical doctors always accuse my father of illegal practice of medicine. And after that, he pray and pray. That's what father told us. And then he could open with his hand. But he is entranced that time, and he don't know. He removed even the intestine inside and close. I put it back and close without scar.
She now removes my energy blockades without opening my body.
Sometimes the magnet healing is the same as this bloody and spiritual operation. If the power is so strong, the sickness will be out also. Even not doing the spiritual operation or the blood operation.
In magnetic healing, it's apparent that the effect is solely on a spiritual level. Arsenia doesn't even touch me. The question of success depends largely on whether I myself believe in what she's doing. In my case, my belief must not have been very strong. For many people, though, her father's method of surgery was certainly the more convincing reality, simply by virtue of the fact that blood has a very strong effect on our psyches, especially in cases of acute illness. The Russian, Evgeny Bondarenko, and his son Igor want to technically document the psychic and intuitive powers of our minds. They were fortunate to find a dacha formerly owned by a steelworker. The man constructed the center of his house completely of welded steel plates. Even the curtains are made of steel. An ideal place for experiments is the potato storeroom. It too is made of welded steel plates and serves as a perfect, completely isolated location for measuring the power of the mind. The instrument for measuring these powers is a patent developed by Evgeny. This sensor. Evgeny switches on the computer. It is equipped with special American software, which converts the frequencies received by the sensor into digital signals. In the meantime, I have coffee with Evgeny's wife. Do you understand what he's researching?
Вы разбираетесь в том, чем он занимается? Nein.
No.
Do you believe in the power of the mind, that it is made in such a way that it can manipulate machines?
Да. Yeah.
Yes.
Have you had any experiences with this phenomena?
Not with machines, but I know for sure that you can influence other people. The most common and simple way in which Evgeny heals our friends and acquaintances is either directly, over the phone, or through a photo. And it usually works.
That means telepathy is a part of your everyday life?
In my opinion, it's not really telepathy. I think telepathy is more a kind of thought reading. Evgeny is more concerned with mental healing.
The power he uses to accomplish this is now going to be measured. The clocks are synchronized. Then everyone has to leave the house. Evgeny knows how skeptically the powers of the mind are regarded, so he's left mental healing up to others for the time being. Together with his son, he's working exclusively on producing technical proof of the so-called magical powers of the brain. He's looking for scientists who will help him succeed in his research. All the steel doors are shut tight so that the sensor is virtually sealed in a Faraday cage. The dacha is located in the wilderness near the Finnish border, far away from possible sources of interference. Who really does the healing? Evgeny? Or do the people heal themselves? Or is it God? What do you think?
I can't really explain it.
What does one really do when one heals? What does Evgeny do? Does he pray?
We're atheists. We don't pray. We simply know the human organism radiates certain frequencies that can help other people.
So Evgeny radiates something which helps other people, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, he registers the exact moment in which he concentrates his thoughts on the sensor in the potato crate. According to physical laws, at this distance, through double steel walls, no impulses should reach the sensor. Evgeny repeats the experiment several times, noting each time the exact moment and length of his thought impulses. He holds his breath and contracts his diaphragm tightly in order to concentrate as intensely as possible. What does he actually radiate when he heals? Does it come automatically? Certain thoughts? Does he meditate? What does he concentrate on?
Yes, of course. He concentrates with all his power on the person he's trying to heal. I don't know what he thinks when he does it. His thoughts are certainly not always the same. But it's important for his method that he concentrates as intensely as possible. And that's very strenuous.
So you believe in the power of the mind? That one can penetrate another body with the mind and influence it?
I don't think it's in the mind. It's different radiations emanating from the human brain. We're just unable to identify and interpret them exactly.
Maybe this house will go down in history as the birthplace of a bridge between shamanism and science. The computer gives Evgeny and his son Igor the proof they've been seeking for years. The temporal record of Evgeny's concentration work, the signals received by the sensor and registered by the computer, correspond exactly.
There's no doubt about the experiment. The computer was synchronized with my father's watch and registered impulses at exactly the same moment in which my father produced his energy. We can see here exactly where I gave myself the command to concentrate, then the concentration itself, until I was exhausted and started again.
20 years ago, Evgeny discovered he had a slight tingling in his fingertips when he sensed something he couldn't necessarily see. I want to put him to a test. Can he pinpoint my location through this wall? On behalf of the Russian government, Evgeny flew across Siberia to locate oil and found mineral resources on the map. He revealed the location of ships to the Russian Navy on sea maps after looking at photos. All this can only function if he has a clear idea of what he's looking for. As soon as he finds something, his sensor indicates an increase of his brain activity. Evgeny's son is also developing his senses by using this technical feeling control. Finally, Evgeny locates me through the wall. Every brain has the ability to do these things, he says. One only has to activate it.
We call it biolocation. It involves biological frequencies which we not only emit but also receive. Now we're going to see how both our emissions are registered by the computer. If you pay attention to the intervals at which you and I both speak, you'll notice the signal changes. Our feelings and cerebral activities are all involved in the experiment. Because our feelings constantly change, the signal does as well. We place an antenna on the sensor, which is connected to a generator for electromagnetic signals. Our signal has 20 megahertz. The antenna overlaps it now with 400 megahertz. Despite the strength of the artificial signal, our biofield still managed to penetrate. Up to now, we can't explain what kind of radiation it is. We can only see that it's very strong. The amplitude of the biofield is twice as high as that of the electromagnetic field. If we knew what creates them, we would construct the appropriate machines. But we'd have to conduct a lot of research to achieve this, something the two of us aren't able to do. If we want to analyze our biofield, we'll have to lengthen the timeline. We mark 1 second. One can't see any real difference in this enlargement. Only when the signal is magnified to 3,000th of a second do we see how the brain works. For 2,000ths of a second, it works on a very high frequency, then drops off for 1,000th of a second before going up again. That's very unusual for common signals. We suspect that when we concentrate strongly, heal, search for something or rejoice, our brain functions at an unusually high frequency, millions of times higher than brain researchers assume.
Do you understand what the sensor is measuring?
Only partially. How can my father or I explain it when even science and modern physicists can't? We're talking about fundamentally new findings in the area of physics. We believe our work concerning new research methods and a new type of medicine is only a small part of what the investigation of mental powers can mean for humanity.
Perhaps we can also examine scientifically how it's possible that other beings can speak, influence, or even act inside us. It's an agonizing procedure for Lamo Dolkar every time she relinquishes her own ego to allow another, higher order of being to enter her body. In her case, it is a Tibetan deity named Dorje Yudroma. In order to receive the deity Dorje Yudroma in her body, Lamo Dolkar prays for forgiveness for her sins and vows to cleanse her thoughts, words, and actions of egoism, arrogance, and ignorance. She asks her master and the Dalai Lama, as well as the deity of compassion, for help to accommodate the other higher identity. She has to deactivate her own consciousness, which operates according to another set of truths. The consciousness of the deity which now controls her operates on a purely spiritual level and is much more radical and energetic than Lamo Dolkar could ever be herself. Her husband, Tenba, has assisted her for decades while she's in this trance state. Now, the identity change from Lamo Dolkar to Dorje Yudroma has been completed. Yudroma wants to dress in a way befitting a deity. In pre-Buddhist times, Dorje Yudroma was a nameless mountain spirit. She was called by Padmasambhava, the founder of Tibetan Buddhism, into the pantheon of Buddha as a protector of the earth. Over the last several generations, Yudroma has been a goddess of refugees. In the present generation, when Lamo Dolkar was only 11 years old, Yudroma made her her personal medium in order to fulfill the Buddhist duty of helping humanity. But the young girl was ostracized and treated as a lunatic. It took decades before Lamo Dolkar was finally recognized as the incarnation of the salutary Yudroma. On December 17, 1992, the Dalai Lama certified that she is the official incarnation of Dorje Yudroma, who he called a shamanic manifestation of cosmic powers. It is said that since she was blessed and recognized by the Dalai Lama, she has become much more serene and conciliatory as Yudroma. Yet many still fear her, for she often openly condemns the iniquities of her patients, things which should remain secret. Lamo Dolkar, or better Yudroma, treats nearly all illnesses, physical, psychic, and spiritual problems. What she sucks out, she used to swallow. Now she spits it out and shows it to her patients in order to strengthen their belief and the effect of her treatment. Usually, one treatment is enough, for which a donation of 50 Nepalese rupees, or about €1, is usually made. If I'm still preoccupied with my doubts and desire for rational knowledge, I won't find much help or sympathy here. Yudroma isn't known as an enlightened deity. If she senses my arrogant concept of the truth, she might feel offended and actually harm me. I can only be helped if my contradictory attitude doesn't become apparent. The next patient complains of back pain. Although the shaman only treats him with a dull kitchen knife, she apparently sucks something out of him. This even happens when she treats patients over the telephone. Just like with the Philippine surgeons, this treatment is also a depiction of spiritual work being carried out on the patient.
Why did you argue with your neighbor? Don't do that anymore. Go and apologize. Stop thieving and fighting. Do you understand? Obey your mother.
Now it's my turn. I hope she's more gentle with me.
I had an operation in here, and since then wasn't here.
A year and a half ago, I had a meniscus operation. Since then, I've repeatedly experienced strong pain in my knee.
Loose,
Yeah.
keep it loose.
Yeah, so.
Do you have pain?
Sometimes, yeah. Since 1.5 years.
This pain is more acute than any I had before. So acute I could scream. Does it have to be this agonizing? Does my consciousness need this much pain to convince it of the efficacy of this treatment? To trigger the necessary mechanisms in my brain so that my knee can heal? Perhaps I need the pain because in a purely spiritual way, like with praying or magnetic healing, my condition doesn't change much. My consciousness is used to expensive diagnostic technologies and operations carried out by competent body engineers to achieve healing. Obviously, I need a much more intense impulse to activate my self-healing potential. Even penicillin won't work if I refuse to believe in it. Belief in the power of conventional medicine is also based on illusions, the same kind of illusions that allow Lamo Dolkar to heal. I refuse to underestimate either shamanic or clinical methods because, as brain research has proven, our brains don't need reality in order to actively carry out processes of change. The mental intention is all decisive, and in Lamo Dolkar's case, it's very intense.
Look. Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah, okay. No, please.
Now, the deity Dorje Yudrunma leaves us. Her departure from Lamo Dolkar's body is as painful as her arrival. Lamo is 60 years old. She holds these sessions 5 to 6 times a week, and each time her room is filled with people, because her patients spread the news of her success at healing. No one would come if the treatments were unsuccessful. It takes a great effort of selflessness to place one's own body at the disposal of another being, and perhaps this is the very secret of her effectiveness. Now, once again, she's become the simple, loving housewife who has no idea what happens to her when she enters a trance. Dolkar herself has never been ill, except for an inflammation in her mouth caused by sucking out so many infections. Otherwise, she has only had to face the problem of being considered crazy, even by her own husband. The only thing I consider crazy is that I feel exceptionally well, and the pain in my knee has subsided right up to the present day. 2 hours by flight to the east, in Rangoon, the capital of Burma, or Myanmar as it's called today, I meet a shaman expert from Europe who has come to replenish his supply of a highly effective universal medication from an alchemist. Because Buddhism is the national religion, it's common here to treat illnesses on a spiritual level. Western thinking hasn't yet gained complete acceptance. We have to get off the street quickly. The military government in Myanmar is allergic to film cameras, especially when Western foreigners document these squalid conditions. And not only the golden pagodas normally shown to the tourists. We managed to reach the alchemist's practice unhindered. He's only permitted to work because he has treated high-level members of the military. The master Sayajiu Shane hands over large quantities of his medicine to the European in solid and liquid form, It's a medication manufactured in an inexplicable way, one which has been used for 15 years with the greatest success to treat the most serious illnesses. His altar represents his window to the spiritual dimension, from which he receives his instructions. His contacts are there. His grandfather, his mother, and his spiritual master. All three help him from the beyond to conduct his work without mistakes. He takes up a connection with them through meditation. Sayaji Hussein began his career at a young age in the Burmese army. He is a war veteran with 2 serious wounds. Each time he lay in the hospital, he heard voices which told him, "Stop fighting. Then you will be healed and can heal others." He consulted a lama who became his teacher and explained to him that what he heard were the voices of the Devas, the compassionate sisters of the beyond. Only when they threatened him and told him he wouldn't survive the next battle did he obey them. Their prophecies were fulfilled. Sayaji Hussein recovered and learned to heal others. He shows us just how he does this. Through an alchemistic process, he manufactures a medication he calls gold ash powder. The basis for the powder is 10 different metals which are melted together. A large portion consists of gold.
The Devas revealed the formula to me in my dreams. I'm neither a doctor nor a chemist. I had to proceed exactly as I had dreamed. If I didn't know how to continue, I waited for the next dream. The entire revelation took 14 years, a time in which I often believed the Devas would never contact me again.
Why this happens, you know? Yes.
And to this day, the gold ash powder is made according to the Devas formula. In this hut, the 10 different metals are melted together at high temperatures using a catalyst. Then, together with fruits and herbs which have fermented for months in these ceramic pots, the alloys are processed into a repeatedly distilled concentrate. A damp mixture remains, which is placed out in the sun to dry. If someone wanted to reproduce this medicine, he would have to study the special conditions and skills involved for years, together with Hussein, and even that wouldn't guarantee successful reproduction. The dried mixture is compressed into tablets by these machines. In independent studies, 2 renowned medical institutes in Singapore and Hong Kong examined the tablets for poisonous traces of the metal ingredients and confirmed that none are present, an inexplicable phenomena for chemists. That's why this manufacturing process is called alchemy. The tablets taste and smell completely harmless, like dried plants and herbs. But the miraculous power they contain is almost unimaginable. Each day, people suffering from AIDS and many other patients come to Hussein. All of them are being treated with these tablets. This new AIDS patient is too weak to get out of the taxi. Hussein's reputation extends far beyond the country's borders. That's why many patients come from Bangkok, a city with one of the highest AIDS rates in the world. Most of the patients here were treated with conventional medicine until doctors gave up on them. For this reason, Hussein often treats cases in very advanced stages. But he refuses his help to no one, and only to a very few does his help come too late. The brothers and sisters of this AIDS patient are buying gold ash powder from Hussein. He asks them how much they can afford and lets them determine his fee. Because of the advanced stage of the disease, Hussein hands over his medicine in capsules with a higher concentration than in the tablet form. They receive enough for the entire therapy, so they don't have to return to Myanmar and cross the border illegally again. The tablets have already had an effect on this woman. Only 3 months ago, she was very thin and ill. Now, Shane is satisfied with her progress. Her hands in particular have grown much stronger. The woman was afraid that she and her 3-year-old daughter, who was also infected with the HIV virus, would die. Her blood tests document that she managed to rid her body of the HIV virus within 3 months.
Now, when he was after being treated by gold ash powder, he was sent to the clinic to be tested again on the 1st of July 96, 3 months, and found HIV test negative. So she was so shy, she wanted to, when the foreigners come,
She was infected by her husband, a sailor, who finally died of AIDS. Only after his death, when she and her daughter both contracted AIDS, did she hear of Usain and obtain the gold ash powder from him. She and her daughter will both have to take the medication a while longer until their conditions stabilize. Normally, healed patients don't return. Therefore, we can't interview them. Usain gives local patients only enough medicine for 1 month. That way, he can monitor their change in behavior, something he considers equally as important as the tablets for their recovery.
I'm a doctor at a large hospital in Rangoon, and I've been using Usain's tablets for years in my clinic. I'm head of the tuberculosis ward and have achieved great successes with the tablets.
So he had many tests. Yeah.
Our lives have changed completely since we've been coming to Usain to pray. We were always short on money and suffered lots of misfortune. But now all our new business ventures are going very well, and we've become happy again, as a family. My daughter often comes here to pray for our well-being.
Her daughter takes praying very seriously. She concentrates on wealth as she prays so that it will grow. She does it so intensely that she becomes unconscious or falls into a trance. This is perfectly all right for the instructor. Usain has several who give exact instructions on how to meditate successfully. Many of these people have become wealthy by using these prayers and keep their promise to use their money solely for good ends and to donate generously to social and religious projects. Part of Usain's work involves freeing patients from possessing spirits. In order to summon up the intruding spirit, he inactivates their ego consciousness with the sweep of a hand. The intruding spirit is fierce and agonizing. Usain attempts to arbitrate, for it seems that this spirit will only depart of its own free will. It is the woman's husband from a former life who is still jealous. The girl is supposed to placate him by remaining a virgin a while longer and not seeing other men. He will only depart if she obeys. Otherwise, he can throw her to the ground, suddenly and at any time. Spirits can also have negative intentions.
These attacks used to be much more frequent and severe. Thanks to Usain, they don't recur as often. In the past, I only had to look at a man and I would pass out. My sister and I sing in bars, and it's bad when men stare at us. I used to collapse often and go crazy. It only improved after I promised not to marry.
Do you have to remain a virgin too?
I'm not a virgin anymore. Like my sister, I've sworn not to marry until my husband from my former life gives me permission to do so.
In parting, I'm also given the task of healing people. Usheen hands me a big bottle of golden ash powder in liquid form and 2 bags of tablets with the provision that I only give them to people who ask specifically for them. His medicine has proven to be full of blessings. There are methods which don't require medication or operations. For Hia Park, the Korean shaman, or manshin as she's called in her native country, dance is a medium for healing. This young man, named John, has no idea why Hia Park has chosen him from the audience. Purely by chance, he walked into this shamanic meeting only an hour ago. This is his first contact with shamanism, and he really wants nothing to do with such hocus-pocus, as he calls it. She tames his impulses to flee like a restive horse. He tries to escape one last time, but the small, delicate woman knows how to use her strength. Without first entering a trance, few people can switch from the left to the right cerebral lobe, where healing powers originate. To this end, Hia Park not only balances out his energies, but also those of all others present in the room, many of whom are shamans. Hia Park first summons her Mexican colleague, Soledad Ruiz, and another shaman from Venezuela.
I had some sort of intuition that when that boy was pulled, I immediately knew that something is going to happen.
Says the Indian healer, Sri Chakravati. The shaman Don Agustin from the Amazon is here as well and is supposed to help her. The purpose of this shamanic work is to connect the young man with his soul. Some would speak of a connection to God, or Allah, or to his home planet. But in the end, they all mean the same unfathomable something which is part of all of us. Hiya Park summons his wounded soul, gives birth to it, takes its pain upon herself, and howls it out into the world.
Another thing that saddens me was standing over the man or the boy with the legs spread up and started going towards his face. In our country, in our terror, you never, ever do that to me.
Comments the Maori medicine man from New Zealand. Hiya has to consider such thoughts without losing her power. For her, it means uncompromising compassion, which she offers to a complete stranger, with a depth he never desired nor sought, and in an intensity he had never experienced. Hiya is beyond desire and self-denial, beyond good and evil. She acts directly from soul to soul.
I am asking this woman to change her attitude towards emancipation. If she wants to repeat this ritual, then she has to change it.
Demands an African shaman. Does one have to die in order to find true peace? Does one have to leave one's body to reach a realm in which conflict and hate are brought to an end? Peace in the midst of conflict? Nirvana in the here and now? Love that makes no demands, not even the need to know one another. That's why Don Agustin invited us to his home planet.
I already felt fear for this man dying,
says the concerned Colombian shaman.
I felt it was like a sinking boy asking for the mother.
Now we have a problem here because he might die now.
The dogs began barking, the horses whinnied, and the cattle roared. We heard screams from outside. The air was charged with a terrible energy. She freed countless souls through her dance. She sacrificed herself as only a shaman can.
The boy was really slipping from our hand.
And there he is again, back in the duality, in the world of conflicts and disputes.
Would they stand with their legs wide open with their period on a man? Although we respect women in our country, they also respect men. They never ever do that.
We're talking about taboo. I think as an Asian woman, I grew up with too much taboo. And maybe I became a shaman because we had so much taboo. The shaman's specialty, I believe, exploring that taboo to find out for the freedom, find the new information, what can be. An example, as an Asian woman, moving this pelvic area is big taboo. And opening my leg, like he said, is very big taboo. And I always take that risk. And I'm not regret. Thank you.
Yo creo que esta actividad,
I believe that this activity
efectivamente es dolorosa, como él dice.
Certainly is very painful.
Porque nos damos cuenta
because we notice
que el shamanismo
that shamanism
es universal.
It's an universal thing.
Pero también lo hacemos las personas que somos seres humanos.
But we also do it as human beings.
We're talking about shamanism. The shamans, when they become initiated, they must die. All this disease created our conflict mind. You can call devil, you can call virus, you can call AIDS, you can call H, I don't know those terms. Until we understand that person, and this person, when you have a drug addict, you have to know why they are attracted with the drug. They want to go that place where there is no conflict. And this person went to that place where he always wanted to go. I only understand because I had experience when that place. I cannot talk about it, so I dance. My dance is always going into that place of no conflict. That's the freedom all the religion trying to teach us. But I wish personally, I wish he can stay 7 days, 7 nights, never have to take a drug again, and really live life. But I didn't want the audience to go frightened he's dead. So I asked the mother to bring him back sooner than I wished. Thank you.
The message I have is from the boy. He said it was the best day in his life.
So clean from inside, yeah. Oh, for example,
I already know, even word betray you again.
When you have a shaman as a doctor, you always have a good friend because she takes care of your soul, the place in which sickness and healing originate.
Don't cry for me, okay?
You cry for me.
Thank you. I mean, you can cry, but not saying.
But don't cry.
I know, this is joy. This is joy,
How did you feel when you had to go out there, into their midst?
Ich habe mich total gewehrt dagegen, dass
I resisted anything they tried to do to me because I felt it was embarrassing. And there were so many people there. It was really stupid. But then I noticed that I couldn't actually resist. Something I couldn't influence was happening. I think I left my body. I had the distinct feeling I was not in my body.
Ich denke, ich habe meinen Körper verlassen. Also ich habe das Gefühl gehabt, als wäre ich nicht in meinem Körper.
Did that start immediately?
Sein allein, nein. Das
I no longer had any sense of time.
Ja, ich habe kein
I felt I was alone with my real self.
Dass ich mit meinem Ich alleine war. Also,
and I realized my body had nothing to do with it.
Dass mein Körper eigentlich gar nichts mit meinem eigentlichen Ich zu tun hat.
What do you think she actually did with you?
Das frage ich mich immer noch.
I still ask myself that. The strangest thing is that I feel very, very clean since then. I used to have a slight respiratory problem, but now I can breathe deeply again. I've quit smoking, voluntarily. Although I used to be a chain smoker. I might start again someday, but right now I have no desire. No desire to introduce something harmful into my body. No one told me to do it. I decided myself. I don't have any aversion or distaste regarding these things. I could still choose to do them. But I don't know why I should smoke. I think it would be idiotic.
What have you done since the ceremony?
Same things I always do. But I'm much more at peace with myself, much more calm and life-affirming.
How are you doing today?
Today, a year and a half later, I'm doing extremely well. I'm still astounded at everything that's happened to me since then, at everything that was activated in me, how I deal with things and how it's changed my life.
When we got into that complete shamanic ecstasy, we Koreans call mua. When they go into that state, it looks like a death. That's why all other shamans were arguing, I killed him. In some sense, it's true. Your fear, who afraid to, being fighting with the disease, afraid to die, this emotion have to die.
Have you had a difficult time since the encounter?
No difficulties with anything. Since then I haven't touched a drop of alcohol, strangely enough. Not a cigarette or a joint, no cocaine, nothing.
That's fantastic. What do you have to be aware of to stay that way?
Nothing. The only thing I have to pay attention to are my thoughts, the way I think and the way I deal with things. Those are the only things I have to pay attention to.
My job is go bring that soul back, and that was happening to him.
Since that time, I know that you can't die. Life never ends. This life is only part of an evolution, and when it's over, the evolution continues. That's what I've discovered for myself. Even if 1,000 people declare that I'm freaked out or a loony, since that time that's something that's really deep inside of me.
And I hope people start to recognize the medicine is not only chemical medicine created by pharmacy, but human beings, when we can reach that state, that moment, we have incredible medicines we can create. God gave us ability to create that medicine. And I hope we can more experience that.